Do you love yourself? I know, it seems like an obvious answer, but do you really love yourself? What does that even look like? We live in an age where self-improvement is in abundance, but the internal self-love that would ultimately leave us feeling satisfied is frequently absent. We've got morning routines, we've got workout regimens, we've got looks maxing, plastic surgery, thousands and thousands of different ways to improve. And the irony in all of this is that self-improvement works. Getting up and feeling better about yourself, looking better, being stronger, being more beautiful, having a better sense of fashion is going to improve your lifestyle. So we have two sides. We have one side that says, well, self-improvement culture is toxic because it's superficial. And then we have another side that says, you don't understand. These superficial things are what make you a more valuable person. And so we've really come to a point where we're absent of a middle ground. So first, I'd like to take a look at the pro self-improvement argument. We live in a day and age where job opportunities are limited. There's a limited amount of partners for people to date. Career choices are becoming more slim. Young adults are facing a world that is much harsher than what their parents went through. So this idea that we can kind of just coast by and be satisfied with our natural state of ourselves and be successful and be happy, I just don't think is true. No one's gonna wake up for you. No one's gonna come to save you. You gotta go and get it. So as much as I hate some of these self-help gurus saying, bro, you gotta grind, you gotta hit the hammer with the hay, you gotta do it. I'm sorry, there's really no other option around it. And I think there's a lot of positives that we can take away from this. Investing time in yourself is what will make you more resilient to the world around you. It'll make you a more social person. Let's say you're anxious and you don't know how to talk to people. Well, reading some of those pickup line books might actually make you a more likable individual. Maybe it will help you in a job interview in the future when unemployment is on the rise. Looking better and feeling better also teaches you to treat yourself with respect. If I do my hair in the morning, then that says to me that throughout the day, I'm carrying my head high because I know that I'm valuable. But it gets taken a little bit too far. These pieces of advice then become books and courses and YouTube channels and it's wrapped up in our media. The Giga Chad, the looks maxing, the surgery. It's gone too far. And I think the point that it misses is that there's only a certain amount that you can really improve yourself externally. Like I could go and have plastic surgery, and I have had plastic surgery, and I came to realize that doing much more is not really going to give me much more benefit. The initial surgery I had was on my nose and I felt more confident about it, but I came to realize that these external means of improvement are kind of only a means to the ends. When you feel trapped inside of yourself and you feel limited by one factor, maybe it's your sense of style. You feel like you don't fit in. You feel like you got no swag. All right, go fix your swag. Maybe it's you're ugly. You get plastic surgery and you feel better about how you look. Maybe you're socially awkward and you can't speak properly, so you go watch a bunch of pickup videos. Great. You've now kind of capped off, you've overcome this initial barrier that was limiting your self-growth. That's fantastic. But I see that more as like a tool, rather like a gateway opening, as opposed to what is really going to get us to improve ourselves, which is self-love. And that begs the question, what is the point of self-improvement in the first place? I say the point of life is to feel happy and satisfied and to feel content to a certain degree. So when you're constantly pushing for margins, are you really experiencing happiness? And so that's what I think this other crowd gets correct. Self-improvement often becomes toxic. We've got the manosphere, we've got looks maxing. We have this very superficial cultural motion towards being perfect. But perfection is inherently unachievable. You can look as good as you want and speak superfluously. I don't really know that word. You can speak perfectly. And you can still feel like shit. Let's take a case study. There's plenty of people around the world that are suffering more than you or me. And they might actually feel more satisfied, more content, more in love with themselves. So why doesn't my privilege, the way that I look and dress and the way that I feel with all these methods, make me happier than them? Because self-worth is for the most part internal. And we've got this equation backwards. We think, okay, I'm gonna grow this outside so that the inside can then flourish. Okay, cool. Maybe that's the case. But I say that planting the seeds has to happen in your heart first. And what that looks like is often positive self-talk. We become accustomed to being mean pieces of shit to ourselves. You wake up and you fail. Maybe you have a bad day and you say, well, why the fuck couldn't I have done better? I gotta wake up and I gotta do it again. I'm happy that we've learned to develop this fire, but that fire is something that can consume you. And so it's time to take a step back and realize that all these external, beautiful muscles and tools and fashion that we've developed only truly flourish and show themselves when the self-love that we've built is the foundation for our colors and our beauty. A really simple exercise is to ask yourself, imagine like the most recent time you got rejected. Like think back, maybe it was on a date, maybe it was for a job interview, maybe you failed on an exam. What was the first sentence you said to yourself? And I know, it could feel like you don't even say sentences in your head, but we often are. We're just not listening. So for me, when I felt ugly in high school, I was telling myself, if you're not good enough, you're not worth it, no one's gonna love you because you look this way. And I've come to since realize that at times I have that same monologue, but it's illogical. I never should have been used to or okay with speaking to myself in that way. Would you ever speak to your mother, your brother, your father, your sister in the ways that you are harsh on every little imperfection about your body and your character? No. So flip the script. Wake up, and I recommend journaling to yourself a little. Talk about your day, the things that you want to achieve. At the end of the day, do the same activity, and you'll come to realize that you can actually shift the way that you speak to yourself. I like to speak to myself kind of like a bit of a loving mother. I say, Gavin, I love you. I know you messed up, but we will do better. Or today, you did a lot of these good things, but I'd like you to work more on these activities. With that constructive kindness and that constructive dialogue, you will get a better sense about how you actually see yourself. And that is when true self-worth flourishes. So it's not about having one or the other, because if I wrote to myself all day and I just stayed in bed and convinced myself that that was somehow okay, I would have nothing in life. I would probably be miserable. But if I was on this other spectrum, just constantly chasing after beauty, perfection, plastic surgery, just being the most outwardly magnificent thing possible, I also wouldn't be satisfied. It's time to realize that the two of these things are married. They're intertwined in your essence, because your physicality as well as your inner monologue are the keys to real self-worth. And once you start feeling and treating yourself better, that's when people begin to see it. That's when you become truly recognized. And loving yourself is that first step towards true happiness.